The Story of Goodfellas, 1990. In 1955, youngster Henry Hill becomes enamored by the criminal life and mafia presence in his working-class Italian-American neighborhood in Brooklyn. He begins working for local Caporal Jim Pauly Cicero and his associates Jimmy the Gent Conway, an Irish-American truck hijacker and gangster, and Tommy DeVito, a fellow juvenile delinquent. Henry begins as a fence for Jimmy, gradually working his way up to more serious crimes. The three associates spend most of their nights in the 1960s at the Copacabana nightclub carousing with women. Henry starts dating Karen Friedman, a Jewish woman who is initially troubled by Henry's criminal activities. Seduced by Henry's glamorous lifestyle, she marries him despite her parents' disapproval. In 1970, Billy Batts, a made man in the Gambino crime family who was recently released from prison, repeatedly insults Tommy at a nightclub owned by Henry. Tommy and Jimmy beat, stab and fatally shoot Billy. The unsanctioned murder of a made man invites retribution. Realizing this, Jimmy, Henry, and Tommy bury the body in upstate New York. 6 months later, however, Jimmy learns that the burial site is slated for development, prompting them to exhume and relocate the decomposing corpse. In 1974, Karen harasses Henry's mistress, Janice, and threatens Henry at gunpoint. Henry moves in with Janice, but Pauly insists that he should return to Karen after collecting a debt from a gambler in Tampa with Jimmy. Upon returning, Jimmy and Henry are arrested after being turned in by the gambler's sister, an FBI typist, and they receive 10-year prison sentences. To support his family on the outside, Henry has Karen smuggle in drugs and sells them to a fellow inmate from Pittsburgh. 4 years later, Henry is paroled and expands his cocaine business with Jimmy and Tommy against Pauly's orders. Jimmy organizes a crew to raid the Lufthansa vault at John F. Kennedy International Airport, stealing $6 million in cash and jewelry. After some members purchase expensive items against Jimmy's orders and the getaway truck is found by police, he has most of the crew except Tommy and Henry murdered. Tommy is deceived into believing he is to become a made man and is murdered after walking into the room of the ceremony, partly as retribution for murdering Batts. By 1980, Henry develops a drug habit and becomes a paranoid wreck. He sets up another drug deal with his Pittsburgh associates but is arrested by narcotics agents and incarcerated. After bailing him out, Karen explains that she flushed $60,000 worth of cocaine down the toilet to prevent FBI agents from finding it during their raid, leaving them penniless. Feeling betrayed by Henry's drug dealing, Pauly gives him $3,200 and ends their association. Henry meets Jimmy at a diner and is asked to travel on a hit assignment, but the novelty of such a request makes him suspicious. Henry realizes that Jimmy plans to have him and Karen killed, prompting his decision to become an informant and enroll, with his family, into the witness protection program. After giving sufficient testimony and evidence to have Pauly and Jimmy convicted, Henry moves to a nondescript neighborhood, unhappy to leave his exciting gangster life to live as a boring, average schnook. The end title cards state that, as of 1990, when the film was released, Henry is still a protected witness, but that he was arrested in 1987 in Seattle for narcotics conspiracy. Henry received 5 years of probation, but has since been clean. He and Karen separated in 1989, and Pauly died the previous year in Fort Worth Federal Prison from respiratory illness. Jimmy is serving a 20 years to life sentence in a New York prison for murder and would be eligible for parole in 2004.